everyone. Welcome to another presentation in the Smith.ai Masters webinar series. I am Maddy Martin. I'm the VP of Marketing at Smith.ai. We are a 24/7 virtual receptionist service, and we serve small businesses and even solo entrepreneurs, helping them be really responsive to leads and clients, to reach out to leads and clients, and to generally just have happier clients and more qualified leads coming through their business and working with them long-term. We handle calls, chats, texts, and Facebook messages, and we are really happy to present experts within our network, within our partner community, to you on a sometimes multi-week, multiple times a week basis, as this week if you came to our session yesterday, which was another marketing topic, and we can't get enough of them. So today we're going to be talking about SEO, and specifically how to go beyond the ranking. So how SEO helps your firm's bottom line. And joining me are Wes and Paul from Civille, right? And they're a Smith.ai partner, and they're going to be discussing how to optimize your website and SEO strategy to save yourself a lot of time and money and energy. We're going to focus on how to build immediate trust in your firm or business through SEO design and UX, how to attract the best clients through SEO optimization. It's not just about traffic. What non-invasive lead capture tools to use on your site, and then how to save money by qualifying website leads first before they get into your funnel and take up a lot of your time. So Wes and Paul, thank you for being here. If you want to just do a brief introduction, then we'll get into your presentation.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Maddy, for the intro and having us on today. So yeah, I'm Wes Lungwitz. I'm the managing partner of Civille is the pronunciation. We've heard it all. So there it's non-traditional spelling of civil. But yeah, we handle, we're specifically in the law firm space. So we do websites, digital marketing, lead enhancement services, analytics, reporting for law firms, kind of everything in the digital stack, in addition to integrations and some other items. So really versed in the legal space, and yeah, just happy to talk through SEO and some of the strategies that you can take home with you today.
Awesome. All right, Paul, you want to say a couple words?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Paul Cashman. I do business development and sales for Civille. So yeah, like Wes said, we're just super happy to be here and excited to share some of the things, some tips with you all.
Wonderful. All right, awesome. And just one thing to note quickly, Wes and Paul at Civille obviously focus on a lot of attorney work in the SEO space, but and far beyond that, as Wes mentioned. But a lot of the tips that we'll cover here today, that they will share, they will share, will really relate to a lot of different business types. So don't go anywhere if you're not, an attorney or running a law firm. Tune into what these best practices are, because oftentimes they convert very well to other professional home services, etc. All right, let's get into it. Wes, you might be muted.
Sorry about that. We'll share and get into it. You see my screen now?
Yep.
All right. We'll run the slideshow. So obviously, yeah, more than a ranking, how SEO helps your firm's bottom line. You've heard that. So we did the intros, but I just wanted to get into a little bit more about ourselves, kind of past that, because it kind of helps paint the picture. Obviously, you showed up for the SEO tips, but hear us out here. I think it's important to talk a little bit about our background. So, prior to the legal space, Paul and I actually worked in automotive, growing a young company called Dealer Fire that made custom websites, did innovative digital marketing, and did kind of a lot of the same things that we're doing now in the auto space. We were kind of the cool player, the up and coming player for many years. That company then was acquired by DealerSocket and became a larger player in automotive overall through integrations and a lot of other things. But during our time at DealerFire, we started doing some work for law firms. It's kind of a feeler and a side exploratory gig of sorts. So through the market research, we found that there's actually a huge need for similar services that we're doing and offering in automotive. Law firms, for the most part, weren't taking advantage of the digital space in the same way, which meant that, you know, a lot of people that got on board with doing work in digital had a good chance of success. So unlike automotive, the digital space wasn't flooded in legal. So we were excited to kind of make a dent. We began marketing work for a few years ago with some larger firms, and the results were actually pretty immediate. Without getting into everything that we did and focusing on the topic at hand here, we were able to really move the needle organically for large firms that specialized in disability, veterans benefits, and workers' compensation is kind of where we started. Kind of fast forward a year, and we decided to go all in with some of the other incredible talent that we had worked with in the past to form Civille. And the formation of Civille came along with a full platform. We decided that, you know, where we could help immediately included a dynamic website platform, SEO services, lead enhancement, and reporting and analytics. We'll dive into more of each of these as we go, centering on SEO, but that was kind of the main idea, right? So making a difference through legal tech, help match attorneys with the ideal clients and potential clients with the ideal attorney. The firms we were working with jumped on board with our web platform once we were up and running as a full business, and it's been great. But I guess if there's, you know, some surprises as we moved into the space and now being, you know, over a year into it, some of the objections that we've heard when we talk to firms or demo our product, and kind of some of the hesitancy around SEO in the legal space. So that's what we'd like to help with and kind of talk a little bit about that today. So some of the things that we'll hear, you know, our current website is fine. We work slowly from referrals. We don't spend money on advertising. We're too busy already, right? All fine things, but you know, some of the things that we've heard, and we'll dig into each one of those. So number one, so our website is fine. This is almost exclusively somewhat of a red flag when we hear that. There's almost an implied admission of guilt with the phrase our website is fine, because typically when we do that research and kind of try to give some pointers on the current websites, we find things like the website may not even exist or can't be accessed. HTTPS is not enabled, so that's the secure connection. You know, HTTPS is right before your URL name, and that's the actual secure connection that is provided that makes your website safe for users, and you know, is going to affect rankings greatly. It's surprising how often we see that not enabled. It might not work on mobile or isn't responsive. It might take extremely long to load. So page speed, and we'll get a little bit further into this, but it's an important ranking factor and an important factor from UX. So 38% of customers say they will leave a site if it takes more than 5 seconds to load, right? So law firms on average, load time is 12 seconds. Only 15% of law firm sites load on mobile in under 5 seconds. 70% of customers say that site speed affects their decision to interact with the business. So again, when a site isn't loading fast, you're hurting yourself on rankings and also just perception, and if somebody's even going to stay on your site and interact with your business. The website might be dated. It might not feature the attorneys. So again, putting yourselves up front, making sure that your faces are on the site, and just creating that trust through the website design is very important. There might not be any CTAs, calls to action, ways for people to interact with your site, with your business. There might not be a click to call. There are very basic forms on the site. There might not be a chat tool, and there's no ADA tool. So American with Disabilities Act is a big deal with websites. So basically, if your website doesn't comply with that, and doesn't have a screen reader, is not able to make the text larger, and somebody with a disability might have an issue using it, that's going to be a big red flag for a lot of individuals. Imagine being a disability attorney that doesn't have an ADA compliant site. there can be a lot of issues with that. So that's something that we absolutely focus on and we find to be a big deal. And in general, finding an attorney is a big deal. There's a lot of emotion involved, right? For the person that needs representation or help of some kind, it may be the most important thing going on in their life. Having a website that has any of these issues is giving them a reason to question you and question your firm. You take great care in your appearance, meeting with a client in court and in your physical building. You need to care about your online firm just as much, because that first impression is happening on your website. One of the other ones, so we work slowly from referrals. Referrals are great, right? That's a huge part of a law firm's business. It's a big deal. But why, I guess, actively limit your exposure? The stat up here from the ABA, 49% of firms say that their best marketing channel is buying web leads. Now, that may not sound like a reason right away to do SEO, to do marketing, but if you think about it, these are web leads, essentially lead aggregators that are pulling leads through online search. These are good leads, but why pay the cost per lead that these lead aggregators are going to charge when you can bring them in yourself with your branding for a lower cost? And I know you said that you work on referrals in this case. So why are we talking about paying for marketing leads? Well, you don't have to, but the point is that they're there for the taking and can help expand your business. But even if you don't want to do that, and this gets back to kind of the first point, your website has to look professional and function appropriately. Because the fact is, referrals are still looking you up, right? A large percentage of them are not going to just blindly do business with you because they were referred, right? You still have to look the part. If you're concerned that a nice website will attract you business that you don't want, you can qualify the leads that come in, and we'll get to a lot more of that to come. But just a quick example. So one of our firms that we work with, so Kirkman Dunn, they understood this. They do business litigation, it's business bankruptcy. They're not that interested in like SEO and typical online search and lead acquisition in that way wasn't that big of a deal to them, right? They work on referrals, they work on big cases. That's what's important. But they came to us and said, we want to look professional. We want to look legitimate. We're not happy with how our current site portrays our business, right? That's that piece of it. Maybe the SEO, in that way, the SEO is the design and how the site functions and how it performs and how somebody can interact with it. That's an important piece. And that's the way that they wanted their business to be represented. Again, really clean layout, something that they can be proud of, feature their attorneys front and center, have the pictures, faces, go in the individual pages and tell a little bit more about those specific attorneys. That's all important to them. Now, the other side of that was they said, but we do have a concern. We don't want to have just anybody coming through, a general form, and we don't have a large intake team. That's going to be something that is a concern with having a better site. Is it going to bring more business? And so we built custom forms for them that can take them through a unique process that's just for them. They wanted to know what kind of case is it ahead of time? What are the liabilities? Again, you enter numbers. Just a series of questions that mattered to them, whether they were going to take that case or that they wanted to know before they're talking to someone. Help them, prep them for the lead and decide if they're going to go forward with that.
We pause here for a second because, Wes, I think that this is bringing up some really good points about thinking about your client avatar and who they are and how knowledgeable they are. I think many people who will be looking at this, whether you're a lawyer or a roofer, you're thinking, does my potential client, my ideal potential client actually know what they're doing in a form like that? Do they understand like what business litigation means? And they also understand like what my total liabilities are. If you're working with, really, really small businesses, you might phrase things differently in layman terms that they would understand, because that's your specialty, your sweet spot, that you help out those people who are not so equipped to answer these questions, or you might help out people who are businesses who are very knowledgeable about, the language we use to describe these types of cases, that type of work. So if you are even in B2B flooring or commercial construction or whatever it is, there's going to be terminology that the consumer, if you are in residential, doesn't understand, right? So just think about like this web page is the perfect example of, they clearly know that the right clients for this firm, and this is part of their filtering process, is using the language that the right clients understand, right? If you don't understand it, you're not going to make it that far in the form. You're not going to fill it out, and your lead funnel is not going to be clogged with a lot of people who are not the right fit for your business, right? You'll still have to do some screening, but they're saying, you know what, we're courageously going into this intake funnel strictly saying, we're going to get fewer but better leads through this.
That's, yeah, 100%. That was the case. That, you know, that was the conversation. We don't do general practice. We don't have the big call center. We're taking these calls ourselves. We're replying to these emails ourselves. So we don't want somebody coming in that needs help with something that's completely irrelevant, because we, you know, through that relationship, we will need to contact them if they come through the form, but it's going to be, you know, something that we're not able to take on. So that's, you know, that's the entire image that we built for them, and the custom process that we built as well. Going through, you know, back to the SEO piece, it did get to one piece that they did care about. So we do want to rank for, we just want to rank for Chapter 11 bankruptcy Milwaukee. That's what we care about. That is somebody that we want to attract. That's the only thing we want to rank for. So again, we were able to do that for them. They ranked #1 for that. And actually one of their blog posts is right under that ranking. So again, it's important for some and not others. They didn't see that, but then when it got to the nitty-gritty, okay, this is what we care about the most. This is our most effective and profitable case. We do want to show up for that, and they are ranking first for that. So really hitting on all cylinders of what they care about as a business through those tools and through our website.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's fine to be focused. I think a lot of people, when they think of SEO, they think about a lack of focus and just, you know, trying to get as much traffic as possible. And some of those leads will be good. You know, SEO still costs money. You have to produce content, and that takes time. You have to, you know, iterate on copy for your website, conversion rates, et cetera, your calls to action, that takes time. But what we see here with this example, and I think it's such a rare example to see such a refined, narrow focus area for a website in an SEO conversation. And the whole point is, you're running a business. You're not running a content farm, right? So if you go online and you read SEO articles that are geared for the life hackers of the world, then you're going to be getting a totally different approach that is not focused on conversion. It's focused on showing as many ads to people on your website as possible. So you really have to make sure that you're focused on like service, business focused SEO, right?
Absolutely. No, and that's part of the discovery process, part of the you know, demo process for us. We don't just want to build a website, right? Because, oh, you need a website, and these are the things we're talking about. Like, what is your business? What's most profitable for you? What do you care about the most? Let's make the site make sense for that. And that's, I think, part that is missed a lot of times on discovery, or even in the sales process. You have all these great tools and all this works, but does it work for your business? Is it what you care about the most? So that's really where we try to narrow down and kind of be different in the space. So a few more objections. Again, don't spend money on advertising, which this kind of plays into exactly what we're talking about. And this is where at times the relationship with websites can almost get a little contentious at times for people, because it's not doing the right things for them, and they don't know exactly why. They may have a website often because they feel like they have to have it. Like they were told they have to have a website. They're very traditional, but they don't do any SEO on the site itself, and no ongoing marketing. And the result is often a site like we referenced earlier, low quality, not optimized, and it's just kind of out there, right? People are going to find it if they search the brand name. But major search terms, it's probably not going to show up. And that's kind of where things get a little, the relationship gets a little tough with wanting a new website, right? Wanting to increase that presence. It's since the site is poor, it's not ranking for things that people are searching for, or not ranking for the things that you want your clients to be searching for, or they're not finding you if they're just searching for, you know, personal injury for Milwaukee. If you're stuck on the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th page, unfortunately, the people that are probably coming in due to the low ranking site status, often those people are submitting leads that are individuals who have tried working with the other firms that were ranking or they were able to find to no success. They may have been denied by those firms in their area. They keep scrolling and eventually find your site, right? Because they don't have a case that's really relevant and one that you can take, unfortunately. But they will keep trying and will keep hitting up law firms. So they simply don't have a good case. But they're going to try to go with somebody, as you know, in taking that lead, talking to that lead and understanding that story. It's going to take a lot of additional time for you as you're talking to a lead that's not going to turn into business, not going to turn into a client for your firm. So unfortunately, the result of all that is often a negative view of websites and digital marketing. We have a website, it doesn't do anything for us, or the leads we get through that website aren't very good. But that's kind of expected, right? If it's showing up low, unfortunately, you're getting a lot of the retreads or people that just don't have a case that are looking for some way to make money, whatever the situation may be. It's just not a case that your firm can handle, unfortunately. So bad websites do bring bad leads, and that can cause a negative relationship for lawyers with websites and doing something new and getting a website because they haven't had a good experience with it in the past. So why would they want to improve their presence? But again, unfortunately, it's because nothing has been sunk into it that it is producing those leads. So
yeah, I want to touch on one thing here also, because there's a huge trend for saying, look, your Google business profile, Google My Business is sufficient. Your Facebook page is sufficient. Your YouTube page is sufficient. Don't worry about it. And it's like, it's actually about control. And I talk about control on the receptionist side a whole lot, are you controlling your lead funnel, but are you actually controlling what properties you own online versus rent or prey, right? Because if you have, a popular Facebook page, if you've accrued a lot of likes, same thing with YouTube or TikTok or whatever, if Google My Business is serving you really well, the next day that could all go away. The algorithms are constantly changing. And yes, that's true with SEO, but it's often not these permanent downshifts or as volatile, right? So as a result, if you think about your website as something that you own, something that historically really does not go down in terms of traffic value, just like the stock market, we might have blips, but over the long run, it's appreciating, right? And as a result, the sooner you invest, even as a trickle of investment of time and money and energy, you'll find that sense of permanence and ownership is one of the best investments that you'll make, just like referral relationships that we all know and love and value. So I just want to, pause for a second and say, this remains important, and SEO is going to continue to be important. It's personally one of my favorite aspects of working in marketing. And don't let people tell you, social media is overtaking all of that. There might be some temporary or short-term gains, wonderful. But in the long run, what's going to continue to expose you to the right audience that has intent, that's not just being advertised to, but is actually searching for a known thing that they need, that's where search happens, right? And search might happen on Facebook, but the volume is always going to be greatest on the organic search tools.
yeah, absolutely. Paul, I'll let you jump in here.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you kind of like what Wes was saying with it, the leads that you're getting as you show up on the bottom of a search engine results page, if they've already looked through several other people and they're finally getting to you, maybe those firms turn them down. I just was going to kind of turn it into a real world example with, if you travel to a new city and you're looking for a restaurant. The first time I went to Dallas, Texas, I was looking for a barbecue place. I had no idea what the best barbecue place would be. So you just go into Google. Well, the ones that are further down are going to be the ones that you choose last, probably, whether that's through a Yelp review, a Google Business Profile review, or just general search engine. It may be one of the better restaurants in the area, but you're not going to have the opportunity to get to it because those people are much more likely to choose one of the top few results and go there just because they're seeing them first and they're finding those right away. So it's just one of those things where if you want people to find you and recognize that you're the firm for this case, or this is the best reputation, this is the one that they need to go with. They need to be able to find you, or they're not even going to know that you exist.
Absolutely. And it all, relates together. Some of the hesitancy is, well, then what kind of leads am I going to be getting? Are they good leads? Again, that's when we get into the qualification and those other conversations. Like this all really goes together neatly if done the right way, and can work for everybody. So let's get to the, one of my favorites. We're too busy already. We don't need to do SEO. We don't need to do a new website. We don't need to do Google My Business. We're too busy already. And again, that's on its surface, that sounds like a great problem to have. But it's really important to understand what kind of busy we're talking about. Often when we dig into it, it's actually a resource issue. Everyone's busy. Our call people are busy. They're taking calls. We're taking a bunch of calls. If it's a 1 or 2 person firm, we just get a lot of calls, and there's no reason, we wouldn't be able to take any more. Again, this gets back into that conversation again. It's because often cases when we're allowed to dig into it and when we have the conversation, we're intaking a lot of bad leads and the process isn't refined. Small to mid-sized firms don't have the call center, trying to intake these leads themselves, and a large percentage of them, or a low percentage of them are actually becoming cases for them. So while yes, they're really busy, it isn't an ideal kind of busy. Looking on their website, you can see why less than optimal leads are getting through. Simple form, kind of like on the screen. Anybody can fill that out, right, and send it. There's no really bar to entry if that's a concern. If you're really busy, there's no there might not be a chat tool that can lead people down the process or qualify them. Often just a click to call number, which those are all good things to have, but leaving it wide open, again, that's going to potentially make you busy, but in the wrong way. And there's nothing wrong with all of those things, like I said, on the surface, but spending time in taking bad leads, qualifying them before your team is spending time on them, and eating into your billable hours, right? Or even causing you to hire more staff, or worse, not being able to get back to them in a timely manner when they submit a lead. This is also a perceived issue with many firms that have a low ranking site, right? They may understand that it brings in low quality leads, but if they get a better site, it's going to cause them to be even busier, right? We've actually heard that. That's something that we've heard more than a few times, is that they actually don't want a better site because it's going to perform too well and inundate them with more leads. And we're a small firm and we're not necessarily looking for that kind of growth. Again, the fear of getting too much business or getting more business is since you're really busy, shouldn't be one that you have. So again, lead qualification is the solution to all of this. Utilizing tools that qualify the leads that come from the website saves you time and money. Again, we're going to keep harping on that, but it's just so important when the people that have started to utilize these tools and clients that we have, it makes a huge difference to their firm. And when you think about, equating it to billable hours, it's a big difference. So again, objections, but let's talk about some of the things that are SEO. And again, this is one of the things I like to talk about. I mean, I'm an SEO guy. I'm a content writer from way back, so these are the things I like. But when people think of SEO, they often think of things like code and technical aspects of the website that few people really understand, right? And while the technical aspect of SEO is important, it really starts with the layout and functionality of your website. Design and the user experience of your site tie hand in hand with SEO. Without a proper and attractive layout, the SEO isn't going to work. Remember, the search engines have gotten smarter through the years. They're essentially reading through the site, text and images, and taking user experience data and determining how your site will perform through these elements and data. So creating a design that's representative of your business and features who you are and what you do. 75% of consumers admit to making judgments on a company's credibility based on the company's website design. And 38% will stop engaging with the website if the content or layout is unattractive, right? So let's just take a look at, some real examples of what we mean and sites that we've done. So it's really just putting yourself out there. If you're comfortable, you know, you have that presence and you want to really engage with that client, talking about you, talking about what you do, all from an SEO perspective, and really making it attractive on mobile and desktop. Again, mobile is accounting for 70% of the traffic. You know, these are a few of the firms that we have that really just wanted to put themselves out there. I want them to, you know, to see me and to really be able to engage with me. This is my firm. These are a lot of the last two are individuals who kind of broke away from larger firms and started their own firm, and they really wanted to lead with themselves kind of as the branding, right? And instill that trust right away. Front and center picture, talking about the services, even pricing right in front and showing how they differ from the pack. Again, we write blogs for them that feature a lot of the content and talk about a lot of things they're doing. Becoming a legal analyst, best of Culpeper, a lot of, you know, localized topics, and beyond that, we'll talk about content. But, you know, there's a way to do design as SEO that all relates together with user experience and what people are seeing. You know, putting yourselves out there, putting a quote on there, talking about your experience. It's all building that trust right away from the start. You know, things to stay away from, again, that we see a lot of times are going to be images that appear that are stock images that appear on a lot of different sites, right? Content that's not unique, taglines that aren't unique to you. Again, all things that look generic and really don't make your site and your firm stand out from the pack are things to stay away from. And really putting yourselves out there is your brand, right? And the other side of that, so again, page speed, also supremely important, and that is SEO. Google cannot tell us enough times how important it is to have a fast site. So 70% of traffic is on mobile. They own the game. If they're saying that, it's important to have a fast site. So we make sure that we're in the green zone on mobile and desktop, no matter what, when we launch a site. And this is something we touched on page speed earlier. But, you know, average law firm loading in 12 seconds. People are going to leave the site if it takes more than 5 seconds to load. It's a big deal. And if you're curious on how your site ranks on page speed, it's easy. So you can just go to Google Page Speed Insights. You can Google that. It's actually pagespeed.web.dev. I ran this one. It's one of our sites. Again, 95 on mobile, 100 on desktop. That's just something that's very important on our platform, is just speed, because we know how important it is. And aside from just Google rewarding that speed from a ranking perspective, it's just from a user perspective. Like I said, they're going to bounce off of that. And the quicker that they can access that site and then access the calls to action, click on the click to call, find your lead form, find more information about your firm if they're reading up on you, that's all positive factors and all works into your branding and has that positive perception from your brand right from the start. So page speed.
One thing, Wes, if we can go back to one of those websites, can you, I think you're in Chrome, can you use like inspect and just show how you can see your website on mobile without actually having to like pick up your cell phone? Because this is a really fast tool to be able to, or you could use this. Yep.
Yeah, I actually use a Chrome plugin, but yeah.
So yeah,
but I mean,
you can see your website on mobile, which is I think really nice. Like if you're taking a look at your website, or if you're working with someone like Wes and he's helping you with your website, you know, you want to see, hey, what does this look like on mobile? You know, you can navigate that actually in your browser, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
What's that app that you're using?
What's that?
What's the app that you're using?
Yeah, it's a Chrome extension. I'm not sure exactly which one it is, but I mean,
you can also right click on any website and click inspect element, and you'll be able to, yep, there you go. And then you'll see an option for the view, and actually you can even pick your phone type.
And I think something that's important to note with that is, this is what we're talking about.
Not 100% accurate, you know, but
not to get away from that, but that's the inspect. And
yep.
The one I have allows you to switch different dimensions, and I just like that they have all the most recent phones and all those things on it. So again, you can use either one. Inspect is the easy way. But this is a really important point to bring up too, that a lot of web developers don't even cover. So everyone gets a mock-up of their site in desktop and may talk about it and review it in desktop. And the mobile, like we said, most of traffic is mobile, and they may have never seen what it looks like in mobile before launching. Or you have a site now that you've never seen how it actually looks on mobile because you always come into your office. The only time you see it is on your desktop. Simply inspecting element or pulling it up on your phone, obviously, is a good way to do that. But if you're going through a website design process, make sure that they are showing you what it looks like on mobile and they have that layout nailed down, that it's responsive, that everything that you want and everything that you love about the layout on desktop is there on mobile as well, because it's a seamless experience, and that's what responsive websites are. And anything less is just not acceptable. So yeah, that's a very important point to bring up, and something that we do see get missed. And it's surprising that people actually didn't realize that this didn't work on mobile, because it's easy to do when it's your business and you have no reason to navigate to it on mobile. A lot of times you're just at your desk using it, so you may not even realize that. But that is something that is missed from a web development side, and something that you should check. Again, page speed insights, inspect on mobile, just some really quick, how fast is it? How does it look on mobile? Things that you can do to help your SEO. And again, UX, CTA placement, again, kind of talking through this, how quickly can somebody get to where they want to go on your site? What are your CTAs? Are they call outs? You know, the click to calls, are they obvious? Things like that. Your chat tool, you know, this is one of our clients. They work with SSDI and VA benefits, and they wanted people to know right away that they do both, right? And then have a specific path for both. That's something that was important to them, to be able to segment kind of that traffic and those people that are coming to their homepage, that they're not just a disability, that they also do veterans disability. Things like that were very important. So yes, building trust through your SEO. Design is a big piece of it. Attracting the best clients with SEO. So this is more getting back to some of what people expect SEO to be, I guess, from a technical side. Making sure title tags, meta descriptions, schema, everything is in order. These should be created and optimized specifically for your law firm, the service areas that you specialize in, the area that you reside and are targeting. For example, a title tag optimized for your area, your service, your location. The San Antonio divorce attorney, right? That should be up in your title tag, along with the name of your firm, in addition to an H1 on the page. And you know, we can get into the technical elements of the SEO, and we do a lot of audits for law firms on these items. But the technical aspects are really important, and having a platform that's designed to optimize for speed and for technical SEO is kind of the baseline of what you need, right? Making sure all those elements are in place. And this is a big topic in itself, but this is kind of its own thing. Talking about technical SEO could be an entire hour-long webinar on its own. Yes, internal site content is the other piece. So, and again, in addition to the technical SEO, like I said before, deciding on attorney is a big deal for people. Trust factor is very real. If you're putting boilerplate content on your site, or duplicate content, even worse, or just keyword stuffing and just putting things on there to rank, you're not doing a service. First of all, those are not going to rank because Google knows better now. And second of all, people aren't really learning about your firm. People come to your site, a lot of them are going to read the content. It's a big decision, like I said, with what firm to go to, and they're going to actually read it and read about you, go to your attorney page, learn about you, and decide if they want to work with you. And these are a lot of times the cases that you really want. People that have a good enough case that they understand that they need somebody that's going to fight for them and it's going to do the right thing. And it's a big deal for them whether this goes through or not, right? And they're going to research who it is that they're working with through the imagery, through the website content, your attorney pages, all of that internal content. There's services out there that actually provide like estate planning content to put on your website. And we've run across some of these recently, and it hurts me to see that, because a lot of this same content is ending up on multiple sites. And that's a negative ranking factor, right? If you have content on your site that's used on other sites, that's a no-no with Google. That's duplicate content that could potentially get you penalized. It's going to hurt your rankings. There's a lot of things negative about that, besides that it's just generic. That generic is almost the least of your problems, even though it is a big problem. But the penalties that could come from that, aside from just not really providing value to the user on what you really are and how your law firm is different through the internal site content. And then go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to say a good way to describe some of the internal site content and how it can relate to your firm or any business for that matter is if you don't talk about on your website what you're doing, then a search engine isn't going to know. So if you're a divorce attorney and you need to somehow have information that is unique to you and that isn't out there on 100 other websites that's talking about the same thing. So whether that's an area you're targeting, the city you're located in, something unique about your business, having that content on there is going to help you rank. Wes is going to get into the content marketing here in a minute, but just to kind of tease a little bit of that, having the unique content on your site and having other people read that and link to it outside of that is going to build the quality of your website and the SEO. So if you would like to rank for more than one type of case or business aspect, writing about that on the site on a regular basis is telling a search engine that this is the best place to find information for this keyword or this topic. And then the more often you put that on there, and the more unique it is, the more people read it, the more links that are going to it, the higher you're going to start ranking. And it's just going to bring you more notoriety in the digital space, as well as garner you more business.
One thing I just want to mention there quickly is that there's a huge opportunity, especially for service professionals, attorneys, financial advisors, people who are more qualified than the average bear to talk about the subjects that you talk about on your website, who might need a license or their certifications, or just the same way it would be for a medical doctor. So it is for an attorney that Google looks at authority and expertise as a factor, whether or not that content is going to rank. So you basically already have a leg up because the author is an attorney, or maybe it's one of your paralegals or someone who is an expert in that field, and that's in their bio. It maybe links to a bio page where it talks about their credentials. That is a huge signal to Google to say, you know what, this is really authority content and not just like all the other content on any eHow website, to learn how to file for divorce. It's actually something that's coming from an expert.
Absolutely. And if you're going with an outside service, it has to be somebody that's, authorized and can write and has a team that has written legal content.
Or attorney reviewed, right? I mean, you can get around it if you want to produce a ton of content and you don't have the time to write it all yourself, and you have a responsibility to put your name on things that you wrote, then you can say that you were an editor, that you are, you actually can have a seal or a badge that says this was reviewed by, attorney Jane or whatever with this many years of experience. And there's markup that you can actually add to your website to say that signal very clearly to Google.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to segment the two. So, when I'm talking about internal site content, it's your home page, your services pages, your about page, your attorney pages. Those are just like the core of your website, right? And those all need to be custom written, need to speak to you and what your law firm does differently, right? Then when we're talking about content marketing, that's adding additional content through the blog, through landing pages, different parts of the site that you're optimizing, creating new and custom content. It's something that we've done for a long time, and we've worked with attorneys, before the formation of Civille, like I talked about, and something that we've really come to specialize in through the years. So again, writing about your firm, your service areas in a local area, the results will come. But with content marketing, And this is one of the big mistakes, I guess, with new law firms, is that they kind of give up after a couple of months. Like, well, I'm not really seeing much more traffic, or this isn't doing much for me. It's very easy to say that I don't know if I can really move the needle on this. I don't know if this is valuable. It's a long play, right? It's really 4 to 6 months of consistently writing blog content. Talking about like 3 to 4 a month is when you're going to start to see the organic rankings rise, start to see traffic acquisition from that and leads from that. And it's something that you have to continue to do. So, we've seen this where people will drop off doing this. Their rankings will drop off as we're watching, traffic trends through the years, and then, then they'll have somebody do it, or they'll get back into it and it will rise again. I mean, it's a pretty direct relationship with your domain authority, how Google sees the authority of your actual domain and your website, and the traffic acquisition and the leads that you can get from organic. Optimization is key. Every, custom written, but including H tags, URL structure, optimized images, links in your content, and more. The biggest thing is that you write something of value, and something that's going to resonate for something, or something that's asking a question that people that might be interested in your business or might need your services are asking out there. So that's a lot of what we do. It's a lot of keyword research ahead of time, seeing where there's content gaps, seeing where there's conquest opportunity between competitors, seeing where there's just a space where people aren't talking about something, or people are searching it, but there isn't much out there on a given topic. Something that we really do a lot and invest a lot of time into the actual content and how people are going to react with that. Again, blogs that we work on, it's a lot of questions and things that people are searching, and how can we actually help? They want this blog to be helpful. They want these topics to be something that people can go there and find a relevant answer and ultimately do business with them, sure. But being the authority in their space and being able to answer these topics, and it really just raises all the boats and gets your site to be ranking for a lot of terms that you care about. Creating that custom content doesn't just work for that singular blog post. It's actually going to raise the boats and raise your domain authority and raise the search value of your homepage and your entire site. So something really important, I could dig further in, on your service area. You can do content about your local area as well, and anything that you're sponsoring or any goodwill that you're doing is very important. That, again, that personal aspect, and people appreciate that and will read about that, and it connects with the community and puts you out there as somebody that's trustworthy. Building that trust, right? That's what we're talking about. Again, I could go on for the content element for a long time. We do want to get into Google Business Profile as well. So this is such a big one. So again, using Tayback a lot in the examples, they're a big client. They're okay with that, but using them a lot in the examples that I have here. But Google My Business Profile. Actually, one thing about content. This is a firm that we work with, so Collins Law Firm. Things like this, important things to put in a will. This is one blog that just went off for them, right? But it's something that people are searching on a national level, and they're actually ranking, and this is called a featured snippet. They're actually ranking first out of, an incredible amount of, 9 billion results right there. They're the featured snippet and being shown first to every visitor.
They beat LegalZoom.
Yeah. So they're beating LegalZoom and Policy Genius and Nolo, Trust and Will, so many AARP, some huge players in the industry with a pretty new website that they have, right? So investing in the right kind of content and actually writing something long form and valuable, you can beat out some incredible competitors by just being more valuable, having a better result, and something that people can really resonate with. And again, does get leads through this blog, but bigger than that, just putting that firm and a small firm as an authority on a national level, and the branding with a piece of content like that is through the roof. again,
Well, you never know when it's going to hit, right? So it's also the question of like, is your website set up that if you have a blog post hit like that, or your website really starts ranking for a big search term, are you prepared? Is your intake form just, name and phone number and a blank space? You're probably going to get a lot of noise. Versus if it's more strict, you're going to funnel that traffic into actually quality leads.
Exactly. I mean, it's all relating together. Hopefully I'm making the connection on how all this relates together. We'll talk about the Google Business Profile. So formerly known as Google My Business, or GMB. And it hurts me that they changed it to Google Business Profile, because there's a lot easier saying GMB. That just flowed off the tongue. It's something that we said a million times, but it's Google Business Profile now. So what we're talking about is this right here. So again, it's almost as important as your website these days in terms of being found in search. In fact, it's basically a miniature website that Google offers for free with all the functionality that it has now. There's a couple of ways people can find you through your Google Business Profile listing. It's brand search like this. You're actually searching the law firm's name. Here it is. But more importantly, something that you care about in the maps listing. So SSDI attorney in Milwaukee, again, #1. There is advertising on this. This one's an ad. This is the first organic result. So they are ranking #1 for that, but there's a lot of reasons for that. While this is free and everyone should be doing it, and you may have a page even if you haven't claimed it, it's not easy to rank first in the maps listing. There's a lot of actual work that has to be done. So creating a listing if you haven't, claiming the listing, optimizing the categories, ensuring the hours are correct, and updating any holiday hours, adding a product section, adding Google posts regularly, adding photos regularly, adding video content, responding to reviews, responding to questions. There's a Q&A section, installing tracking URLs for success. Again, these are all things that are factors on if you're going to rank. Again, your reviews, really important. If you have a process to get reviews from good customers, and that's something that we actually help with on review acquisition, that's something that is going to help you a lot, being a 4.5 out of 5 out of 843 reviews. But we also, all these reviews are responded to. They have the product session built out. They're answering questions. They have Google posts. They're adding photos. They've optimized the actual description. There's so much work that goes on, and ongoing work into making sure that you're updating these Google Business Profiles and being able to show up first, even to having the right size photo. So this is what shows up as your feature photo along with your logo. Again, a lot of times it's just buildings, but having this, representation of the partners front and center and how that looks on mobile, it's just a really key piece on just putting your face out there, again, in addition to your website. So again, I could go on a long time about the Google Business Profile listing, but this is something that we know attorneys really need help with. And the ones that are doing this are just getting a ton of, people are just calling directly right from the Google Business Profile. They're going right to the website. They may be even getting directions if they're already, out and about and you're showing up first, or if you're a, car accident attorney and somebody needs help right away, they just had an accident, showing up on this list as somebody searching on their phone is huge. That's how you get the first call from them, right? They may even come directly to you through the directions link. Just something that through all the things that you need to do to update that can help you show up in this 3-pack, or even, a little beyond isn't the worst thing. But being on that kind of first page and that first scroll on mobile is hugely important. The Google Business Profile is really going to bring that all together. And that's what, when people are talking about offsite SEO, that's a huge piece of it, is the Google Business Profile. Again, Google owns 95% of the search lanes, right? And that's a big one that is their tool, and something that you just need to be utilizing. Okay, so we'll bring it home here with some of the things that we've talked about with UX plus SEO. Again, you need the forms, ideally custom forms, chat functionality, click to call, email directly, and you need to be qualifying them, right? Through those custom forms, chat and click to call. So what that actually, looks like, again, we'll go back to some people that are using these forms. Tayback, for example, qualification, when it comes to Social Security leads, the biggest problem with a Social Security disability attorney is often people that are currently receiving a benefit may want to increase that benefit, right? But that's not how the system works. Everyone's assigned a number. That's what you pay in, and your amount that you can get back through Social Security disability benefits is what your number is. People don't realize that and want to increase their benefit. So one of the biggest issues they have is somebody that's already receiving benefits trying to go back through them, and this inundates them with people that they can't help. They just simply can't help that. So yes and no. So there's a couple of things that can happen at this process, and the chat tool works in the same way. So you can have a chat tool that mimics the custom form as well and sends people through that same process on our platform. We offer that, and it's completely integrated and functional and included and customizable. So are they receiving benefits? If they say yes, again, that's going to be somebody that they can't help. Now, they don't necessarily, you can stop the process and say, unfortunately, we can't help you. Here's some referral resources and things like that if you choose. For a lot of firms, they will just prioritize those differently if they're able to do that. So within the CRM, we're able to integrate and make these either A leads or B leads, depending on how they ask those questions. If it's a B lead, saying that they said yes to disability benefits, there may be some way, or somebody may have answered it incorrectly, or there's a number of things that could have happened where they will still want to talk to that lead, but they're going to prioritize it behind the ones that are A leads that answered all the questions in an ideal case for them. So there's a couple avenues that you can go through with that. And in addition to those forms, again, we're talking about in any way that they can contact you through the chat tool and through the click to call as well. That's where Smith.ai comes in as well, right? A Civille partner. We can define that process through the form, through the chat, live chat through Smith, and live call answering through Smith, that actually provides that no matter how somebody's getting in touch with you through your website, they can actually run through this qualified process, which is going to save you all kinds of time and all kinds of money. And again, it's for the cost of some of those tools, it's really a no-brainer when you're thinking about your own billable hours and you're thinking about the staff that you have to bring on to deal with some of these leads, when you can qualify them through the Civille website and the Smith tools and our own custom tools. It just makes sense. We're fully integrated with Smith. Page speeds are lightning fast along with the Smith tools, and the Smith tools work really well in that way. That's something that you have to be careful with some third-party tools, is that it might affect site speed and it might change the UX of your site, and it's not fully integrated. Not an issue with our services together. So really, that's wrapping it all together. And saying, SEO is really just a bigger piece of the entire website and your entire presence, and it goes all the way from design to lead qualification and everything in between. So yeah,
I love that. And one thing, since you just mentioned chat, is to draw out some of those conversations and keywords that are mentioned in chats to inspire your next blog post, or better use language that your own potential leads and clients are putting in those chats, right? They might be asking questions. Well, Google's not going to show you every question that they ask to Google that brings them to your site, but chat is yours. You own that, right? You have that data, and you might as well look through those transcripts and see what questions people are asking. So, your website is a tool in a lot of ways for you. And I think we've seen a number of them today. Hopefully this was empowering and interesting, and that you'll reach out to Wes and Paul at Civille and learn more about your specific opportunities that are waiting for you. So Wes and Paul, thank you so much for being here. Everyone join me in thanking them. This was a fantastic presentation and really great to see real world examples. So hopefully we'll have you on again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much.
All right, wonderful. Take care. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.